that is, so we're going to get into that about who does business development and who is really the person that is the business development person. So we'll go through all that. A little bit about me real quick, not going to spend, we didn't come here to really talk about me. I'm, like I said, Jason Jacobson of Kelly Construction Group. They call me a project development executive. We'll get into why, the title. Previously worked in demolition, excavating for 25 years. You can see I went to school up at St. Cloud State. The contact info, if you're looking to get it at the end of the thing, we'll have the contact info will be up there at the very end. I also have cards in the back and little pamphlets on Kelly if you're interested in it. If not, there's no big deal. It's just there if you guys are wanting it. So you say, why'd you go from excavating, or how did you go from excavating to business development? Well, it was a little bit by accident. I got into starting with Kelly Construction Group. From Caw Valley Companies, and at Caw Valley Companies, we got into trying to start a whole new division. And starting a whole new division, I had to get out there and tell everybody. And so a guy told me to go across the street and come and talk to him. He told me to join this group called Line.EDC. Had a heck of a time getting the letters correct. And I finally got that all figured out. And so I was VP of Operations for 17 years. I owned my own for a year. And I said this when I got into Caw Valley, and I started doing business development in 2011. You say, why business development? Well, for many reasons. There's the biggest reason. CEOs, as you can see, by far, first job that most CEOs have done is business development, followed up by sales. Sales is found a little less than half, and then down here is marketing. And
Morning, Jason.
good morning, Eric. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you, Eric. Appreciate the opportunity. So marketing, so we tie in marketing, sales, and business development. We'll get into that as well, but why they're all three of them are kind of combined. So why is marketing so low down here? Well, because marketing doesn't get with the customer. We have sales is with the customer, and business development is especially with the customer. That's who's building relationships. So marketing doesn't get the opportunity. They're behind the scenes, and that's why it's so low on the chart. Here's a little more why. Look at how much we are going up in business development in the past 10 years for our AEC. Architecture, you can see, is almost 20, right at 20. 33% for the seller doers. Engineering, and then you can look, engineering is 33%, and we're 45 for the sellers doers, and then construction, which would be me, and we're up 45% in the past 10 years, and in the last 10 years, the sellers doers are up 42. So that's quite an increase. But then we look at the next 10 years. We're still continuing going up. There's still a lot more jobs. This is how many more that they're adding. So as again, you can see how wide a range that we're adding in business development and the sellers and doers. And so with that, as I bring up, is how are we going to pay for that? How are we going to pay for all these guys? How are we going to pay for all these guys like me coming in there? How do we cover it? There's no more money. We all know that. Everybody that's doing this, we know there's no more money there to grab. Well, we're going to do it by less companies and more elite companies. We're going to have companies that, the ones that are jumping in and doing it are going to be the ones growing. They're going to get more contracts. So today, this is what I'd like to here's what the main things that we'd like to talk about. What is the correct professional title for your position? I always like to bring that one up because, like I said, as you see, the Kansas City Chiefs doesn't even have it straight. There are so many different titles. I'll put a bunch of them up there on the board, but it's a big argument. When I joined Kelly Construction Group, I told them what I wanted to be, and that didn't work for them. So when I at the Call Valley companies, told them what I wanted to be there, and that one we went ahead and we went with it, but it wasn't business development tied. And so I'll explain why it didn't work at Kelly. What's the difference between selling and business development? That almost should have said marketing, selling, and business development. I should get into that. One of the biggest things that everybody talks about and everybody gets so confused about is, which one is which, because a lot of companies take them and tie them all together. So one person is doing two of the three, or all three of them. And so we get into this argument. Eric Serrano, one of the best business development guys, or actually he'd probably want me to call him a seller. He likes the word sales in town, but me and him got into a discussion. What is correct? What is not correct? When a company should be doing business development, that one gets interesting. The difference between GC and subcontractor business development, I was asked to talk about that. There's not going to be a lot. I'm not going to really woe you on that. But since I've been in both sides, I'm being asked to talk about that. So let's see, what groups should a business development person belong to? What are the groups all about? We'll get into what groups that I belong to. I get asked that all the time. Which ones are the right ones? Of course, there are no right ones. You got to figure out which ones, what you're after, the type of work you're after. But we'll get into that. We'll talk about what some of the groups do and what I see in them. That's a very common question I get calls on. How do you get business leads? And what do you do with them once you get them? And how do you build relationships with prospective clients? Just different ideas and different things. There's some of the obvious that we already all know about, taking them out to eat and whatnot. But there's some different things that we can talk about that get into that. And the last but not least, pre-qualifications to interview to closing the deal. That's actually a whole other speech on its own. We'll touch on it real quick, but we won't have enough time to get in it real deep. I did bring a proposal with us, with me to show a little bit how we try to close the deal with Kelly. Well, here we go. Here is the titles. So, as you can see, all the titles that are on there. The upper left-hand corner up there, we have there the senior and the new. So we can exchange any of these out up there, and the sales for any of those. So it could be senior business development. We can have new business development director. Obviously, all these here. When I type this in, I got pages and pages and pages of stuff. Down here in the bottom is my favorite, Vice President of Business Development. That's the title I asked for. It did not work at Kelly Construction because the owners, two of the owners are vice presidents. They go by VP, not executive VP, nothing else. And so that would interfere with the way they work their system with titles, with ownership. So we couldn't do that yet. There's President of Business Development. I have yet to see that. I highlighted the student I like, Senior VP of Business Development. I have met somebody in that. But those are my favorite. Here's one that really pretty much tells it all. BTB, that's business to business development, corporate sales. It says both of them. We got some pretty funny ones up here, creative titles that go on down. I lit this one. This one came up all the time. Chief Swift's Army Man. I don't know about you guys, but it almost seems like maybe the Boy Scouts that would work out. But I have yet to figure out. And then you get to the bottom. I wouldn't suggest these at all. Corporate Gold Digger, Chief Happiness Officer. That came up. And the bottom one, Chief Penetration Specialist. I'll be honest with you, you come walk into my office and you have that title, I'm probably dialing 911. So, maybe in a different type of work, but that one came up several times as well.
He works with the happiness officer.
My guess is you're right. That one actually, the Chief Happiness Officer, Eric, brought up to me while me and him were having a discussion. He goes, well, have you found Chief Happiness Officer? I said, yes, I have, and many times. So I tried to find the ones that came up several times, but every time you type it in, something else comes in different. The big thing about these titles is we need to make sure that we have our seniority level on there. We can't have some young kid in there that comes in with having the title senior. That's not gonna look right. The job description as best as possible. I mean, it's an analysis. We should be using that. A president being a president. So as much as possible, this is also where in business development we start to embellish a little bit, and because people want to do business with the top. So that's why I like VP of Business Development, because they want to meet with people that make decisions. And if not, they always try to get around to the next person and try to get hired on you. And at VP, most of the time you do it, my title, Project Development, when they throw the executive on there. I usually don't say that, but I'll hand them my card and they can see where it says executive on there. That's, to be honest with you, I think that's the only reason they put that on there, is to give it that VP little swing. And I mentioned in here, so Eric Serrano, I talked about our little discussion. I have to say for him, he says if you put sales in your title, your sales will go up 15%. Now, I asked him to send that to me. I did not put that on here because he did not send it to me. Everything that I keep finding out, look up, sales is a negative connotation. So normally, if I get a call and somebody tells me sales, I'm like right away, sure how I can hang up. And but Eric, I'm not gonna denounce him. Eric has been in this a long time. He knows the stuff. Can everybody hear me okay? Or should I be talking into the mic? I'm not a big mic person. Anyway, Eric says up 15%. If that's true, 15% is huge. And not a bad idea, but that is not what I have found. Okay, here we go. The difference between marketing, business development, and sales. I did have marketing here. Marketing is a B2PC engagement, business to pre-consumer. Like we said, they don't engage with the consumer. They're sending out social media. They're sending out, they want us fishing. They're trying to find somebody. Sales is a B2C engagement, business to consumer, where they're the ones trying to close the deals. And then business development, B2B engagement, business to business. They're the ones that are like me, trying to make connections and you lost my spot. So that's right. Here we go. So here's a great example. This slide showed, I really like this slide, and actually went back and added this slide. This gives you great examples of the difference between the marketing, the branding, marketing cloud, the job site signage, vehicle graphics, website, sponsorships, social media, all the stuff behind the scenes. Business development, the networking, the referrals, the client relationship building, relationship. I can't say relationship enough in business development. That is the key word in there. Face-to-face client prospecting, trade shows, conference presentations, client association memberships, community and civic involvement, and then sales, the interviews, the win proposals, contract review, and negotiations. I think this really gives a great idea of the differences between the three. Like I said, a lot of times we get confused because when you meet with somebody, they do a combination of these. There might be one person that does all of these. It all depends on the size of the company. who does business development for your company? Well, that's everyone in your company, actually. So everybody's like, well, your business development, you do it. Well, yes, that's true. That's all my only job to be doing is just chasing it. But everyone in your company does business development. When we go, at Kelly, when we go out, we actually, our CFO comes out, our president comes out once in a while, he's pretty busy. Our project engineers, our project managers, all of them come out and go to stuff. But when they're not out at the events, they're still out talking about where do you work, what do you do. They're talking to people, telling them what I work at Kelly Construction, I work at Crossland Construction, I work at, and they're talking about the company. And so that right there is business development. Here's a surprising one, past employees. I got a good example coming up in the next slide. Past employees. The best thing we can never do is an employee that's going to leave or needs to leave, leaves on a good terms, because they're going to still talk about the company. And you want to talk positive. Can't always happen, doesn't always happen, but it's definitely out there. I hear all the time from, oh, I used to be there, and those guys, oh yeah, they're good, but I was able to move on over here. I mean, that's what you want. And of course, your spouse, your family, your friends, your neighbors. Like I said, you're out talking to everybody, and everybody is sitting around. I have a neighbor. He's a Black and Beach estimator, so I hear all about Black and Beach. He's doing business development for him, even though he doesn't even realize he's doing business development for them. He's talking about being over in Afghanistan and a bunch of stuff I wouldn't want to do. But he's telling me a lot of stuff about Black and Beach. He's doing business development for Black and Beach. And then of course the social media, the website, the advertising, the news articles. News articles especially, if you can figure out a way to get the papers to do a write-up on you, or the company, that is huge. When I opened the Port of Kansas City, and yeah, I know it doesn't have anything to do with excavating, the Call Valley opened up the port, I did it, and we got an article. I got all kinds of calls. Brett Gordon, McCown Gordon, called me up and said, hey, nice piece. Several of them. I also, and just getting Call Valley built up, we got another article on the front page of the Business Journal. Same thing. A lot of calls from a lot of different people in Kansas City that are very influential and said, hey, great job. Free advertising. So couldn't be any better. So, and those things are still there today. You know, if I type in my name, they pop up, and so there's people I'll meet with, and they'll say, well, what have you done? I said, well, type my name in and Google it, and it'll come up. There's what I was talking about. Great picture. This is this picture is going in the Builders Association. The Builders Association Christmas party. No, I'm not just trying to show myself off in here. They sent me this picture, and right there, Justin Waters is an old employee of Kelly Construction. It's who I used to go to get excavating work back in the day. He was there with us, and he was walking around, and I overheard him telling somebody about how great Kelly Construction was. And so that's what really keyed me in on the old employees. But right there, Dave Hayes, there's a PM, another PM, and obviously me, and project engineer, Tony, that just came off the KU. So anyway, I just want to show, oh, and by the way, anybody catch it in the back?
Yeah, the photo bomb.
Yeah, that was the other great part. I almost forgot to admit it. Yeah, we got up here, we got beer, and then we got that. And so when the Builders Association called me up and said, can I get permission to use this picture? And I said, yeah.
Is that the spirit of Christmas past over your head?
I didn't even, it was a haunted Christmas. I didn't even catch anything. By the way, did you catch the photo bomb? Hold on, let me go back and check it. And he goes, just want to make sure you're okay with it. And I went back and I laughed and laughed and laughed. And I made it the best picture ever. It diverts attention away from me and puts it over there to her. So I gotta figure out who that is. But anyway, it just goes, and the main point was an ex-employee that's out doing stuff, helping us out, still doing business development for us. we got here's some statements on here that I thought were interesting. 80% of LinkedIn members drive the decisions and have 2 times the buying power. So that tells me right there I need to be on LinkedIn. Those are the people that are making the things, making decisions. They have that kind of power. I need to be spending time on LinkedIn, which I already do. I have probably approximately 8,000 connections, and no, I do not know them all, not even close. But anytime I'm reading an article, business journal, and they say who's coming in town, who's the CEO, who's the CFO, they list the names and they always highlight them. I click on them, I go on LinkedIn, and I send them a request. Why? So if I need to, I have a way to message them. And it just recently, Ian Ross came in town from Estimator Group, and I am currently talking back and forth with Estimator Group. And Estimator Group is, Jay Dunn's doing a huge job for them right now. No, we're not going to cover if anybody's in the room from Jay Dunn. Don't get nervous. Kelly can't touch 650,000 square foot light building, but to talk to him about different, other smaller projects that he's got coming up. We have 92% of consumers look at websites. Completely true. I'm guilty. We just had a guy in our office. I belong to another group on the Ride Outdoors, and I'll explain that group here in a bit. But he's a framer, and brought him in, and we didn't really know exactly. Couldn't find him. So marketing, as soon as we go in, we have lunch and learns. We couldn't find him he didn't exist on the website. Well, we're not bringing him in. We're not having him work. He must just be traveling and he'll be gone in a second. Oh, hold on. So Tom Brown come in and talking, and by the time he got done talking to us, one of the owners was talking to him about framing his own house. So he's fine. He just doesn't have a website. He's just like, I'm from Tennessee. I like being in the backwood. I like to be hired. I got plenty of customers already, and so I don't have a website. Well, marketing, of course, that throws a flag, and they don't do relationship. They do everything from behind the scenes, business to pre-consumer. So, but we got him in there. We talked, and he's now on our list of bidders. And the last one we have is 75% of people have judged a company's credibility based on their website. That is true too. And I don't know if you guys have done it. I've definitely done it, where I go in there, and I don't know if it's actually the smartest thing, but you go in there and you look at somebody's website and ooh, another 5x9, and then you go and you find a nice fancy one. Problem is that fancy one they got, which might be very good at building websites, but we do have a tendency to judge them. 75% of people judge by the website. So I guess the key is there is keep the website up. We're currently working on ours. So here's the differences between general contractor and subcontractor business development. Like I said, I wasn't going to wall anybody here. There's the difference is I actually believe that there's not much of a difference at all. I actually wouldn't change my game plan at all after doing both of them. But there are some subtle differences. Obviously, architects, engineers, they're usually not wanting to meet with an excavator. They're not wanting to meet with a lot of the subs, unless they have specific questions. But as far as trying to call them and say, just cold call and say, hey, let's go out and meet, they're probably going to push you way down the track. I mean, they push me as it is with being a general contractor. They aren't as apt to meet. But on the same side, I also, when I was on the sub side, I always tried to reach out to everybody, even like an architect and engineer. Rich Smith with Henderson, I met with him quite a bit, and I happen to know him as being an old neighbor. And if you're knowing, and you think, if you're knowing, and the job comes up, and they come and say, oh, I already know, I know him, I know he's an excavator, but I know of him, you got more of a chance of getting the project. But the difference being is that they're not going to want to meet with you as much. The biggest one, timing on delivery. That is that's the one I'm noticing. That's the one that has taken me a while to get used to. Because in the sub world, I could go out about a project, go up to them, and I don't mean to keep picking on you, Crossland, but you have that on there, and I actually did, I did most of the Crossland's work and know Pat Crossland very well. I could call them up, call Crossland up, and within a month, that month, I was out there working on the job, and be right out there with them, and only heard about it 4 weeks prior. That's not gonna happen with a GC unless you're looking at public work, and even then, I don't know. We need to be out there probably at least 6 months, sometimes a year in advance. The stuff that I have that's coming that we're getting ready to meet on to start building. I started when I first got into my role, which was last July. I think August was our first meeting. That stuff is just starting to go to being drawn up and going. So timing on delivery, I think, is the biggest difference as far as the business development and between the sub and the GC. We just need to get, as GC, we need to be way out in front and get with that person. When that developer first starts thinking, dreaming about that job, and be walking with him and having him tell you his dreams. That's what we're currently walking on. We walked through an old building, and he's like, you know, I think I'd like to have this, and I think I'd like to have that. And we're walking through an old hardware store. I'm thinking, geez, I wasn't used to that. And today it's being drawn, and it's going to print. Developers, brokers, once again, not as apt to want to meet with a sub, but that was my main thing that I did do as a sub, was I did chase them. I did go to meet them. I did go out to ICSC in Vegas and whatnot to meet them, because they usually don't hire you. They do on the large jobs. North Point Development did hire us several times. North Point hires Emerson Sap and Sons a lot direct, but most time they're going to go through a general contractor, which is going to go through you, so hence they don't want to waste their time meeting with you. But for the most part, I would still suggest getting to know them for both sides. And the organizational memberships, AIA, for the sub, you're not going to want to probably join that one. I didn't belong, I did go as a little bit. AGC, now personally, I think the subs should want to go there. That's where the generals are all sitting. But I haven't seen I don't know that I've seen a sub in there. There may be some. And KCASA, so you got the Subcontractor Association. Now they love it when a general contractor will come to theirs. Now if you're with a general contractor and you would say, yeah, we'll come, they're going to be very happy. So, but there's a little different organizations that you do belong to. And
What was the last one you said? I'm sorry.
KCASA. I'm getting ready to show you here. Here's a whole group right here, which I probably don't have on there, but here's a little short list of what I belong to. So there's out of all these, there's some of them that are my favorite, some that aren't. This is the current involvement I have. We do have another person that's doing business development with me 25% of the time, and like I said, everybody in the company does. So we slate out who goes to what. I'm listed on everything, and then like our CFO, he does the OP chamber right there. So that's the CFO. He goes to that one a lot. There's different ones. AIA, he does the AIA drinks up there. Does that one. Personally, for me, SKC, I'm very involved with them. I'm in a leadership group with them. You can join these leadership groups. They have all these different ones. They're pretty good. Casey Chamber obviously is good. CCIM is a good one. There's a lot of developers, brokers there. Wine.edc, I'm very close with Greg Kendall. Works very close. He gives out a team report like this to you, and that lists all his jobs that they're doing. Now they give you code names on there, and you have to go and research and figure it out. There's enough information in there that you can figure it out. I see Rachel there a long time on Wine.edc. And DBIA, well, my significant other is executive director for DBIA, so, and she got to put her little thing up there. I've always been big in with DBIA. They're a great group to get with, but I don't know if I put them up there, but she helped me build the speech, so, and she gets to put that up there. KCADC, obviously, I don't know if everyone's aware, but a lot of these groups, these chambers over here belong to KCADC. Kim Cowden and her group, that's our front door, Kansas City. If they come in, Google Fiber come in, they come in through KCADC. The USDA project came in through KCADC. They're the first group that works on trying to bring in work in town. I have a developer coming in town on the 18th, and KCADC is going to have a big presentation. We'll drive down there. Okay. I am not a current member of that yet. That group right there, our minimum is about $15,000 a year, up to, I think Jay Dunn, I think I heard pays like $250. So, but a great group. Very good, awesome job for us. Pushing the airport, they're all part of that. They do a lot of things behind the scenes. And Tim Cobb's a great guy to know. And that ULI, Urban Land Institute, another pretty good one. The women's group, Casey Crew. There's another new women's group. I can't remember the name of it. I haven't had a whole lot of involvement. They just opened up Lisa Gardner, and then we're heading that up. But there's one women's group. That is actually a really good one. Guys can go as well. Guys can join this one as well. They're trying to get, they're all over me to join that. And the Olathe EDC, another very helpful one. Tim McGee, and Casey Wilhelm over there. Bottom one is Thrived Outdoors. A little different. I don't know if anybody ever heard of Thrived Outdoors in here? Oh wow! All right, that's good. It's really kind of gotten out. We're having our 6th birthday party, but it's a hunt club, but it's for owners and executives. And so you have to be admitted. You got to get joined, and then they'll allow you to come in. A lot of business owners. My Smart Warehouse, Carl Wassinger there, Tucker Trotter. There's 100 of us. You can have 100 max, and we do a lot of business development side there. It's a hunt club, but there's more transactions take place. There's inside there we have meeting rooms. They have a huge conference room with all the media and everything. I see North Point in there all the time. I don't think there's one single person from North Point that belongs. And but it's a really good private group. It's a little spendier. You got to get approved to get in there, but it's a great group of business guys that are in there. And Ben has helped me out quite a bit. So, how do you get business leads? Well, that's probably the #1 question I get asked besides the question of the titles. How do you get leads? Well, relationships. I can't stress relationships enough. If you have a lot of relationships out there, you already got it. You ain't even work with them. Everybody else can worry about the other stuff. But if you're the guy that's got all the relationships, that I definitely do not have all the relationships out there, but I do have several, and that's how I did get my job. And was able to make my move over to Kelly Construction. These are the relationships that I have that exist out there. Obviously, the networking events. Networking events, when you go to those networking events, I see so many people walk in and they just leave. They come in, they go, they just eat, do the thing, presentation, and then out the door. I don't suggest that. The best time, the most stuff that happens is when at the end, because everybody is done with what they're doing and there's more time and people are just sitting around. So now the guy that you may want to get with may leave, but just kind of look around and just have a group. If there's 4 or 5 that you'd like to get with and talk with, usually there's always one of them that's still in there, and then sit there and spend time, relax. Sometimes they're there, hey, you just want to go grab a drink? That means they have a little bit of time. And so that is definitely key on the networking events. The social media gets to the marketing. I can tell you I don't believe our social media is up to par, which doesn't help me. I'm all over about it, but we're working on it. I don't think it's her fault. I think we need another person that just does social media. Websites, they're working on our website, same thing. I don't think it's up to par, but we talked about how huge that is. Referrals go back to relationships. So you get referrals from relationships. Usually it's a relationship somewhere else, they refer you. That's just about as good as a relationship. Business Journal, Metro Wire Media, I talked about the different, already, the different things that are being in the paper, how well that helps. Advertising in there helps. I see several people have advertising that are in there all the time. You know their name, they're out there a lot. Association meetings, going to the meetings, those groups that I just listed, none of them will do you one bit of good if you just send them a check every year. Well, thank you. They'll be happy that you sent the check. They ain't gonna do you a bit of good. They're not gonna get you one job. You have to be involved. You have to be at the association meetings. You need to be that, as many of them as you can. There's no way to make all their events, but you need to figure out which ones, pinpoint which ones are there and make them as much as possible. If you can't, you can find somebody else to stay involved. There's nothing worse than joining a group and then just kind of falling out. It does not do you any good, because people, I've had several people go, man, you used to go, and it happened to me in Shawnee at one time, and now I'm back in there doing it. So, DBI, the design build teams, and I didn't just list this because of my significant other. Design build, if you can get our team, then those teams, you're called back constantly. The same team comes back together. CBC, April Wysocki, they have a huge team that they do all the time. They go around doing VA clinics. That team is the same team every single time that they go around and do. You get on that, you've got it. And then, last but not least, trade shows. Booths are a good idea. So now you can see the booths that are out here. Obviously, people go out and spend time. They can. We've done some booths that I wasn't so sure about Wichita, but one thing about the booths that I noticed is Wichita, it wasn't working. So I got up, I got off the table, I just started walking around, and I started getting with all the hospitals that I wanted to meet with. And so rather than worrying about them coming to us, I went around and got with them. And so out of that, we ended up getting four meetings, attempted for 6, and we got 4. So you can still make it work. So what do we do with the business lead? This, just with a business lead, it's a business plan. I don't know, I've got in there all the different stuff in this, but I think most of us in here already understand all this. And doing with a business lead, you got to do the market research on the person or the project. The business, explain to them your business model. Marketing needs to come up with a plan. What are we going to do? How are we going to send them the information on us? To let them know the goals, team building, what team are we going to use on that project. Going over there, the trends, we do check out the trend, how we do on that type of project to see how much of this we put together. This obviously all costs quite a bit of money. And personal resources, that usually gets back to me. Who do I know that's involved with that project or done a project like that, or who could possibly help us in this thing. So then how do we build relationships? Be the next one. I put a couple slides up there. First, the normal thing is everybody always wants to talk about is, you're taking them out to eat, you're taking them hunting, you're taking that. Every single person does that. Every company does it. We take them on VIP hunting trips. We do it, we take them out to dinners, we go to concerts, we go to sporting events, we go in the front seat everywhere. Everybody does that. The big thing, aside from the different deals that you can take, is first of all, be positive. Be the fun person. That's the one that's who they'll say, yes, I'll go with you. There's a client I just know that a very large GC asked him to go to something, and I'm pretty sure he would have sat better spot than what I could bring him to. But he said, I'm gonna go with you because we're gonna have a lot of fun. I don't know if you always be the fun person, but there's days you get up and you're like, oh, today is not the day, but you have to find those fun pants and put them on. You know, you just have to. I've had the weekends that, you know, I actually entertain at my lake place. I open up. I'm very open with everybody. I am just who I am. And we go down to the lake, and I say, oh, you know, I got this going on. I got, you know, this problem with the kids. I'm dealing with this, like we all have. But you need to figure out, all right, let's go do this. We're gonna go down. We're gonna have a lot of fun. So that always works out. Be trustworthy. Keep your word. Boy, that is. I hear so many times. You know, we're no longer, you know, with them. They said they're gonna do this. They didn't do it. And keep your word. I've always been taught. You know, your words are what they you have. They're always going to feel a person that keep their word. There's times you'll have to go back and fight your own company, because if you told me you're going to do this, you're going to have to go in there and tell your company, look, we need to do this. If not, this is what's going to happen. He's gone. You lost. She's gone. They're no longer going to do this. So there's been several times I've been up to bat against my own company. Has not happened yet here at Kelly, and some of my people I'm still working for Kelly. But there's several times that has came up. And then here, this interpersonal skills for your career, this active listening. You know, there are so many people. How many times have you guys had people where you're sitting there talking to them, and as you're talking to them, you're just looking at them, they're doing this. Yeah. But they're looking around the room to see what's there. Boy, that you've got to really get into active listening with them. And I have another slide on active listening that will get a little deep in that real quick. Caring, you know, caring, actually show you care about what they're talking about. I mean, you need to sit there and listen. There are so many times I hear people talk about the caring, and they're like, you know, I don't think the guy was even listening to me. He probably wasn't. They want to see leadership. They want to see that you can, you know, that you're a leader, and they want to know that you can be. Motivation, that's a big one. I hear that all the time. I can think of a client right now in a hospital that, you know, he talks about all the time. He's motivated. He'll push him. He'll make sure the company moves. That motivation needs to also continue on to the crew. They're not moving. You're going to have to get in there and find somebody that can tell them. That was one of the rights I got when I got my position, was I have the right to go in there and being the CEO, and I can say, hey, look, I don't think they're moving fast enough. The customer told me they don't think they're moving fast enough. We need to move. So motivation, responsibility, take responsibility for what you said you're going to do, and obviously teamwork. You know, if you're a guy that doesn't want to work with others well, that's not going to show well with the person that you're meeting with and talking to. Here's the leadership, the 5 essential leadership skills. Again, goes back to communication, always does. Motivation, positivity, creativity, and then feedback. You know, like I said, the communication always comes up. Positivity always comes up. Motivation always comes up. The top 3 you'll see over and over. That is the main thing, the main 3 that they're really looking for. Active listening. I don't know if I just got off on finding all these goofy slides that I found, but I thought they had some good points in them. The building trust and rapport, asking specific questions. So when you're talking with somebody, engage them. Make sure you're engaging them so they know that you are actually listening to them. Demonstrate concern. You know, there's actually, I guess that gets into, I usually ask people how to get away from work and say, you know, how's the kids? And, hey, I heard, you know, so-and-so, little Peter broke his leg. How's he doing? You know, and actually caring. I mean, not just throwing it out so you get his next job or her next job. Actually, you know, getting to know them and caring. And brief affirmations, I see, that's just so they know that you're actually listening. You know, I've also had a person that's talking to me, it's going, oh yeah, I see. And I see, and he's looking around. You know, okay, that's fine, but I'm going to move on to find somebody else that's going to actually want to listen and do what I'm doing. And that's pretty much the same stuff. Holding eye contact, making good posture, nodding. Nodding is the biggest one, though, that you'll see that they're not paying attention to you. They're just nodding, but they're looking around, and so. That one you want to stay away from. There's nothing more annoying than talking to somebody that's not listening to you. Mirror speaks body language, allowing the speaker to complete entire thoughts. Who's been around that guy that every time you talk, he's going to talk over you? Oh, I cannot stand it. My kids, my grandkids get in huge trouble for that. Do not talk over me. If somebody's talking, do not talk over me. That people that do that, they're not listening. They're not listening to the customer. Let the customer say as much as they want. Let the customer tell you. They're telling you information usually. Let them talk. Don't. As long as they can talk, the more stuff they're telling you. And that talking over somebody, nobody likes it. And so that's a big one. Make sure the speaker let them complete their entire thoughts. And reflection represents, so it's the same thing, same back. I see, I do, not. We already talked about that. So pre-qualifications to interviews. This one here, it could be a whole speech in itself, and this is actually supposed to be about business development. I put it in there. The pre-qualifications, it's usually done by the marketing. It needs to be accurate, thorough, so that I learned a lot about the pre-qualifications actually back to across them. I should have got your name so I didn't have to keep going across them. But Dennis Burns used to be over there as one of the best business development guys I know in Kansas City. And he gave me a lot about, back in the day when he was there, about how they did it. And they have quite a lengthy process. The pre-qualifications done to their mock setups for their speeches. That's getting set for the interview. The interview should be a collaboration effort with everybody. That's marketing is well rehearsed. You run and you do a mock setup. I don't want to get into too much about what all they did, but they had several mock runs before they ever go in, and so to this day we do that and get set up for our interview and ready to go. Closing the deal. I guess the biggest thing with closing the deal is just a very well written proposal. This is one of ours. I didn't ask permission to bring it because I was been told no. So, but and that's why I didn't put it up on the screen. But you know, in there, I really don't think I'm one of those that don't have nothing there to hide. I mean, there's something. But we have a thank you letter, thanking the person for allowing us to get involved with the project. Starts off with thank you there. We go into about us with the owners, explain the owners, explain about the company, the philanthropy that we do. So they always want to see, are you giving back? Are you just trying to, are you that greedy guy that's running around with a Ferrari? And from there, we go to the company team. Shows the owners, the team, and then who is going to be involved. From there, the project that we do with examples that we have been involved with. Different projects that we've been involved with that are just as similar as we can to the project that we're going to do. And then for the back there's a whole bunch about project approach. Like I said, it would have been nice if I put this up on the screen, but I've had a feeling they're going to throw a fit. So a pre-construction approach, the construction methodologies, we go into cost controls and leverage the recent cost histories, interest the subcontraction market, how we're going to get subs involved. It's explained to them. This one's to some doctors. The doctors don't understand any of this stuff, and they told us right up front. We don't understand the construction process. So we're very thorough explaining the construction process to them. Moving on to showing the construction schedule during pre-construction, the value engineering that we've done and how we do it. And then construction approach, quality control. And the last we end up with safety, which Dave Redmond is here, giving a speech. Dave Redmond is our safety guy, plus we have our own. And then we explain our software, communication tools. Before that was project closeout, warranty. And at the very end, we show exactly where our costs are. The fee, their conditions, project costs, or are they owner costs? And we go through, and there's a 3-page thing of everything. They know exactly where their costs are, where they're at, where they're paying, and all the way through. So that way at the end, when they get done with this, and we won this project. This is one of the first ones that I was involved with that we won. But we came back, and the reason I wanted to use this was the doctor said that was one of the biggest things, that they knew exactly what we were doing, how we did it, and where their money was going. So that concludes everything that I have to say. I know I'm over my time by 7 minutes, my little thing's telling me to be really going on. I'm open, like I said, I'm a very open person, so any questions that you have, and definitely answer them as absolutely best as I can. Question of anything, the groups?
I have a question on the proposal.
Yeah.
You mentioned that was a general contractor proposal to the client.
Yes.
How much rate do you put on, as fancy as that proposal is, of subs to the general?
I would try to mirror it close, depending on the size of your company. I guess the reason being is the resources that you have to do this. This is a pretty good team. The marketing gal's doing this. So there's about 3 of them building that right there. But you know, as best you can to, you know, I guess you're talking about bidding to a general contractor?
The proposals are pretty straightforward.
To a general contractor?
To the
Yeah, I mean, the GCs, they're not gonna look through all this stuff like this. I guess the big thing on those bids that I think that we're looking for is the openness of where the money's at, open bid. That was one thing I guess I didn't list there, is, you know, we open bid with everything, to show where the money is. I mean, that's what the GCs always wanted to know. I don't know if there's any other GCs besides Crossing Carolina, let's talk to it, but I think the big thing is that we're always looking for is on the sub bids is where's the money and what do you have covered. So the most thorough thing.
Right.
Scope, yeah. Scope, you'll hear that all the time. Scope it out. But you know, if you scope it out and actually put values there as well, that helps a lot. So they know where you have the money. So this one here doesn't have values because we're not to that point yet, but we will have that. So when we do this next time, we'll actually have values next to everything. So if you did that, I believe that will help out a bunch. And the sub bidding, I was involved with a lot of that estimating. And another thing I was trying to do is give alternates. And you know, so that way you don't want to give a real high number because then some GCs just throw you out and then give a deduct. So I always like to give the base bid, show it exactly what's in it, and you got everything covered. Here's your alternates, and these are adds. And if you want that stuff, then here's what's going to add to cost to that. And then that doesn't throw you off for the high number. Yet, you know, they say, well, I wanted that, you know, temporary for us. It was temporary road. We wanted the road taken care of. We want the grading, the laid out area. We want the trailer pad, all that kind of stuff. Well, here it is. And sometimes they want to do it themselves. I think this openness of showing that your cost breakout is huge. So the guy that sends the help and says, here's your number and here's your bid. And here's what we got and here's your number. That's it. Well, that's you know, and then sometimes they don't scope it out very well either. I had an estimator who was doing that. And it's purposely doing that.
I was going to say a lot of it's just connecting with your general contractor and your estimator and asking all those questions, detailed
questions as to exactly what they expect in the scope.
Yeah.
And that way you can, as a sub, you can submit it back to the tech exactly the way they want it.
Probably qualifications, talking about as far as like similar jobs, things like that, as far as qualifications.
Yeah, and talking to the PMs is really good too, to make sure that they know your scope out, the PM, the estimator.
How do you determine where to set your budget on what to spend for sponsorships or associations or memberships or things like that? How do you determine upfront what value you think you can get back out of it?
If you've got that figured out, I got a job for you. You're hired. We argue about that. You know, to me, I want to belong to everything, well, I shouldn't say everything, but there's a lot of I want to belong to, I want to sponsor this, sponsor that. The CFO comes in, they told me at the end of January that we'd already spent $52,000 this year. That's of course in your immediate initiation, joining the groups. So you get a lot of those. A lot of those groups were 1,000, 1,200, except for the Ride Outdoors, it's like 5,000. But the rest of them are, most of them are anywhere from 300, 1,200, 1,500. Now you can join and get higher if they're going to put you on a board, and they usually be up to 25 or 5,000. But we are currently working on that, trying to figure out where's a good budget. Kelly is in a huge growth range. We're going to grow, so they're trying to figure out where. They thought that they wanted to stay around 100,000. There's no way that's going to happen. We'll be well over that. You treads and threads, event that happens out there. I don't know if anybody's aware of that place with 80 meds. I mean, I think our tent is like 20,000 for that. Just as we're done at 20, that has we have 60 people, we get 20 more, so we end up having 80 people out there at that, and that would cost us 25,000. So by the time we sponsor, but that I think it comes down to the CFO and him coming up with the budget out there, and I've asked for that because then I can go out and spend and know, okay, I'm out, I'm done. But we'll be well over 100,000. I'm getting ready to go to San Antonio Beach for the health conference down there for ASHE, getting ready to go to ICSC in Vegas, and I have 4 or 5 trips around the country that I personally go to. There's 4 of us going to BDC San Antonio, and that's for the health conference, all the health techs down there. So I don't know how to really answer on the fact that your CFO is going to have to figure that one. What can we afford? What can we afford this year to do? And then I guess Justin, he did say that they have to adjust as they go through all the time. So we haven't got our set up yet. Here's my information again. Anybody wants it? In the back, there's pamphlets on Kelly Construction. Everything's interested. If not, leave them there. I got cards in the back. The last thing, I think the #1 rule is people do business with people they like, and that will hold true always. That is who they're going to do the business with, someone that they like. I've definitely been on the other side and lost projects because there's somebody else that they like. But that is definitely the #1 rule of business development. So thank you guys. I appreciate everybody coming in. If anybody else wants to come up and ask questions or whatever, you can ask in the group. I'm open. So thank you.
Thank you.